What up, America? My name's Adrian, the Democrat.
And I'm Michael, the Republican, and this is True Independence.
So, Mike.
Yeah, man.
I know you're president.
Our president. Yeah.
The president.
Yeah.
He loves to talk to the people. He labels himself as a people's man, right?
That's what won him the election.
Right. Yeah. You're right.
Democrats wouldn't know very much about that, would they?
Oh wow. Well, he won the election because he's a good person. You know, he started with that small loan of $1 million.
A small loan. So I'll give you that. That's not very, very small by my standards.
So that's where he definitely. That's where he started. The people's man, reaching out to the populace, the working man, right? Well, this working man tweets more than anyone else I know. I don't tweet this often. I'm subscribed to his tweets. It'll be 3 o'clock in the morning, and covfefe.
Stop! Don't bring up covfefe.
What does that
even mean? he never brought it back up, and so I hate it. I think I have like 30 followers on Twitter, and that's fine with me. I don't use it, and so it's very new for me to watch a grown man use it like this.
Not a grown man. He's a grandfather.
Oh my god,
he's somebody's grandfather.
Covfefe is really bad.
And he tweets. And besides, covfefe aside, I mean the things he says. I mean, I'm baffled. I mean, I don't know whether to be excited, amused, confused, or disappointed.
Some of the things are good. Some of the things are exciting. Good
Some of the things, he tweets things going off to jobs, and working with people, and giving speeches
saving
out
American
places,
money, things like that.
Saving American money,
doing good things.
But for every good tweet, there's at least 2 that begin as follows. Fake news.
Stop. They don't start that way.
Failing CNN news.
All right, look.
Just said again.
All right, look. You got
that Trump's administration is being investigated by Russia.
So it's actually great that you decided to bring in one of our news networks. That is, yeah. So I actually saw today, right before we started doing the show, actually, they are trying to get his tweets deleted by Twitter because they feel that it's against their policy. So CNN is basically trying to say that the president is bullying them on Twitter. Yes, I thought that was pretty sad attempt to hide the things that you got wrong with your organization.
Oh, I don't think it's a sad attempt to hide anything. What is sad is the fact that anyone has to tell the president that you're bullying people.
He shouldn't be on Twitter at all, in my opinion.
He shouldn't.
I really think that this whole social media president thing in general is really a waste. I don't agree.
It is.
Like it. I didn't like it for Obama. I didnn't like it now.
Sure.
I don't.
I mean, they're trying to reach younger people like us, by using Twitter. But I think
does it connect for you?
For me, honestly, some things I do like that he does on Twitter
because you want to know what's happening, right?
Exactly. Real news, real time, directly from the source. But it was different during the last administration when that source was filtered, it was measured, every response had a team that went through, and there were no middle of the night rants about Fox News or CNN or MSNBC or how he doesn't like the 2 hosts on Morning Joe.
So I'll give you that. That's for sure.
Right.
But I feel like also, especially for me where I'm from, we always heard a lot of, I'm sick of this political stuff.
Right.
Where everyone feels the need to censor what they say and be very cautious. I want to hear someone say what they think.
Very true.
And with as instantaneous as it is, it's very clear that he just lays it out.
He does. And I give him that.
He puts it on the table.
I'll give him that. He listened to America's cry of wanting a more transparent administration.
And now
but he only did it on Twitter. I mean, the actual administration has become opaque
Oh, come on.
It's a big old white wall in that White House now.
When everyone's only asking about Russia coalitions and things like that.
Well, not only that. I mean, it's partially his fault. I mean, sometimes he'll tweet in the middle. He's tweeted in the past that the investigation is fake, that someone should stop doing this. So he has the power with his Twitter account to change the narrative. He does. But when you're the president of the United States, everything you say is put under a huge microscope. So for every good thing you do, there's at least 2 bad that you bet are going to be on the news the next morning. So you got to be sure you have the correct responses.
Especially if you're a Republican. You better be. Oh, you were ready to agree.
If you were a Republican, Democrat, or Independent, Green Party, be sure that.
How much news time does the Green Party get, Adrian?
Let
me know. Okay, thank you.
Bless their heart. Bless Joe Stein and all those good folks doing the hard work for America, getting our voices out there. Anywho, I think with all the social media campaigns, when it comes to the government, it does help, and it should be used in a positive manner. But the president, he's not using it to the best of his ability. And so, if you are watching out there, you tend to snoop on people's sites quite often, Mr. Trump.
Oh, come on. Don't start with that. Don't come with that. Don't even.
Please.
Look.
I think you do us both a favor. Put the phone down.
I'm not much of a Twitter guy to begin with, but I think that it is interesting, though, that no matter how it's being used, I think it's interesting that when we see it in the last administration,
right?
I think it's very interesting that we see how everyone says, "Oh, it's so wonderful. He's on here. He does this, and it's so great."
Right.
And now, because it's not necessarily the way people wanted it to be,
sure,
we don't like it anymore. But I think that we need to be a little bit less picky and choosy. We can't like everything. We can't dislike everything.
We can't like everything and dislike everything. But I will say, I believe that the base that pushed him over the edge to victory in 2016, there are people who don't use Twitter. So the complaints that we are giving, from the majority of us who voted for someone else, that's a real thing.
I guarantee that my grandpa had no concerns with whether or not he was on Twitter.
You're right. So the people who put him in power truly and honestly don't care about his Twitter account. But it sure be nice for the rest of us to kind of listen to the other half of America, the other 52%, 49 that didn't vote for him. That'd be nice.
Don't take away the power of states.
Well, oh my gosh.
That's another topic for another day.
Exactly. We'll get into electoral college and its flaws later. All right. So, Michael, I know you've been following these congressional elections, special elections pretty well, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'll do my best,
Right.
Stay up to date.
So, I'm sure you heard about the little Republican victory.
Little victory. Victory is victory. That's 2 seats.
Yeah, 2 seats. 2 seats in Georgia. Yeah.
That we already had. Now we got them again. That's
right. So, if you guys didn't know, there was a special election about a week or 2 ago, in Georgia for 2 seats that are usually it's Republican districts.
The reason the special election was up was because they were pulled for special projects from the president. They were basically assigned a new jobs. So
exactly. So those
had to redo the election basically months after.
Yep, they went up to Pennsylvania Avenue and they work for Trump now. So that's another conversation. So the election was there and it was really close. So it turned out this was the most expensive congressional race in U.S. history.
Which is great. Money spent. Money has to go into the economy, pumping it in. Get donors, bring in big money, and put it back in the economy. Yeah. Nothing wrong with that.
It is, but the fact that the money had to be spent was because it was so close. Now these are very Republican districts, so they should be won pretty easily by Republicans, right?
That doesn't matter if they're close or not. We won.
Well,
it's fun to talk about closeness after you lose, but it's much more fun to just talk about winning.
Winning is great. The process is what matters. It's like chess. Anyhow. The fact that it was so close. Oh, you didn't even do it right. That's the king. That's the queen. Oh my God, you're terrible. Well, anyhow, super expensive, super close. And the fact that we were able to kind of put the Republicans out for a little run for their money a little bit, literally, they had to spend so much to get there. That means that there is a strong grassroots effort on the congressional level that's really springing the tide in our direction.
Well, maybe when it comes time for the next election, y'all can see what those grassroots have done.
Right.
I imagine they'll be A-Town stomped on a little bit.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they'll just be gone.
Yeah. Well, you know what?
The grassroots of what?
Presidential elections, they aren't everything. You have elections every 2 years
Of
on
course.
the state level. So and though that's where politics really matter. The president, he is the leader of the free world and everything, but there's a lot of stuff that he doesn't deal with.
But the more everyone sees Republicans doing well in other places, the more likely they are to vote for Republicans in the typical places.
You're right, but as soon as those Republicans messed up on Capitol Hill, they're going to come home to us.
I have a strong feeling those Democrats were also probably like talking about how conservative Democrats they were. They were probably like middle of the road Democrats, or like if the lawn was here, they probably would have sat with me on this
Well,
side.
that's understandable, but a Democrat is a Democrat, okay?
Yeah.
So we have a wide range.
Y'all are gonna have a hard time winning any district with a D next to your name in Georgia.
Oh, well,
Unless you're in Atlanta, in the middle of
exactly. That's a pretty heavy liberal presence in Atlanta. So I think, and I think a lot of Democrats will agree, a lot of liberals, that effort that is real.
It definitely could be something
And
to
they're
look
scared.
to. We're not scared. That part's for sure.
No, you shouldn't spend millions of dollars on a race that was made for you to win.
We just like pumping money into the economy. That's
No,
it. Yeah,
you're pumping money into those campaigns.
that's fine.
That's all it is, putting them in their pockets.
Like as long as they win, they win. That's what matters the most. And so, as much as it was close and bravo.
It's keeping the rich rich and the poor poor.
Oh, that's ridiculous. There is no rich. No, I
what
didn't
it
come
is.
from rich, so we don't.
Yeah.
That's not my Republican
I
Party.
guess. I guess, but that's what some of those at the top are doing. I mean, look at your president.
Oh, come on. So we're gonna just leave Warren Buffett to the side for the rich.
Oh, there are plenty of well-off liberals and conservatives, but at least the liberals acknowledge their wealth and they try to give back where they can.
You gotta work for what you gotta work for. I go to work every day for a paycheck. I like to do the best that I can.
Right. So it's fair. Anyhow,
It's fair.
it's fair.
It happens on both sides. We can both see that.
Right.
From the bottom, it's a lot easier to point at, but the people at the top are the ones that get to talk about it. So.
Right.
But that race was interesting. I'll give you that. But I was happy to see that those seats stayed where they belonged.
That's fine. And you know what? Honestly, there was a lot of hype from certain news networks about, if we were to win, what this would mean. But honestly, the process is what really matters. The base was so energized in that election. People from all over the country were pouring in to that party, to the Democratic person who was running, because they want to see this change happen. They want to see Congress do a little bit of a flip. They're very, the line's very rigid right now. Things aren't getting passed.
I think another very important thing to think about when you think about these people pouring in from other states,
Right.
any regular election, they won't ever be able to do that. Because if you take these people and put them over here,
Right.
they don't have a chance because they're all gone. And so you won't see them striving for that seat in Georgia the way that you did for this special election. It's not the same.
Well, true.
So as much as it was close, I don't think the Democratic Party's going to have those resources to spare come next time it's time for an election over there.
Right. Well, we all know that the DNC has some work that has to be done.
Like finding a face.
Finding a lead of our party, I know Tom Perez, the current DNC chair, is doing his best to regroup and reorganize Democratic Party. We did have some problems in 2016 from the top. So we've admitted that, and there's been a full report on everything that went wrong. So we're currently trying to build up and regroup.
Well, while we're looking at that, who do you think? You.
Okay.
Who's the new face? Who are you putting on the stand?
Who is the new face of the Democratic
Who
Party?
are you putting in front of the cameras? Who are you?
Right.
Because clearly there are Republicans that are not happy about Trump, but he's
Right.
the face. People love
Right.
it. People
He is
are
the leader.
voting.
He is
So
the leader.
whether you like everything he does or not, because there are plenty of Republicans
Right.
who don't agree with every single thing,
True.
but he's the face.
True.
So who's your face?
Right now, if I were to name one person who's the face of the Democratic Party, and I don't agree with everything. She leans heavy left, and it would have to be Elizabeth Warren. I mean, oh man, that man, just him.
That face.
Oh my God. See, it has him shaking. He's sweating.
Shaking, yeah, that's what
See,
it
Elizabeth
does.
Warren. For me, she's strong. She's very independent when it comes to fighting for what she believes in and for others. She'll stand up to another Democrat if they're wrong, and she's not afraid to admit things that did go wrong in 2016 and how she could better work at that. Now she has announced she's not running as of yet for 2016. I mean, for 2020 rather. I mean, we got a long time before that ever happens. But if there's anybody out there who has the voice of the people who are listening to, it'd definitely be Elizabeth Warren. The Bernie Sanders crowd loves her.
Of course, she's super left.
She does heavy-handed lean left, but she has a few years to really, now that the camera's really on her, because
she also loved to almost make a fool of herself sometimes in order to get her point across. And I think everyone can appreciate those strong attributes that you talk about.
Right.
But they're so like surface level. I feel like there's so many people you can say that about. If I put you in front of a camera enough, then you're going to be strong too. It's going to work out great.
I guess, but there was like a couple months ago that we all know the hashtag that was created that said, and nevertheless she persisted. Elizabeth Warren was, this was during the confirmation hearing of the now Attorney General Jeff Sessions, who is in a whole lot of scandal over there.
Like she called him an idiot
we're not even
in front of the Senate.
Discuss that at the moment.
Just totally breaking Senate rules and was like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
I never did that.
Those Senate rules are very...
you should not be able to talk bad about a sitting senator.
You're right. The way it's written, you should not talk in disdain about a sitting U.S. senator. But she was not talking.
She was quoting someone else. But
someone else.
She specifically brought that quote to the table as though to put it forward as her own work.
She was quoting, God rest her soul, Claretta Scott King, the wife of the civil rights leader Martin Luther King Jr. In her letter,
since she quoted to her, it's okay.
That's
what makes it fine. Was it as Claretta Scott King?
She was as much the face of the civil rights movement as Martin Luther King was. I'm not a strong man, there's a strong woman, and her opinion is very valid. Now, this letter was given to the Senate whenever he was being confirmed as I believe it was a judge in Alabama or something like that.
What good did that do her?
That was a letter about that, and the letter cited some of his seemingly racist tendencies on how he ruled and governed at that time. And so, Elizabeth Warren thought it'd be a good idea if we refresh the Senate and the country about some of his past allegations. And I think it was pretty well stated and well fitted. And not only did that happen, but when the leader told her, stop saying that, those things are bad, she saw in her interpretation of the law that it wasn't. And nevertheless, she persisted.
But I think that's the thing, though, is like, you have the leader sitting up here telling you, like, you need to stop saying that, you cannot say that, and then you need to have a seat. And so there's so many better things. If you're going to quote all these wonderful things from this letter that she had, why didn't she go with these things? Why did she have to point out the fact that he wasn't an idiot? I think it was just an idiot. So why couldn't you have used, like, these examples versus using he's an idiot? So my biggest problem with her has got to be just that I think she's going to be too far left for most people to stand behind. Okay. And I also don't feel like she's a great rally point for the Democratic Party. Like, as much as she's there, I feel like she's not, like, there. Like, you need to get to that certain level, and I feel like she's not there yet. So.
Okay, and I agree she does have her flaws. And right now we're very early in the race for 2020, and
she has no chance to win 2020. Doesn't matter, dude. Like, I just don't see it unless there was some serious changes that happened. Like, there's gonna have to be someone else to be.
Well, she needs to be a little polished if she's a voice, and right now I don't know if she is. We have to keep looking, really.
Is there a technical voice right this second?
The head of the DNC, Tom Perez.
He's a great voice. You know how I know he's a great voice?
How's that?
I've never heard of him.
And that's where the work needs to be done, huh?
Yeah. So get to work. So did you hear about that new Budweiser commercial?
I did see
it. It's pretty great.
It is. It's a great commercial. I think it is good.
So supposedly, it's got strong conservative ties.
Yeah. And I don't know if you all have seen this Budweiser commercial, but it's just came out, I think, a day ago or so.
It's recent.
Yeah, very recent. And we'll have a link in the description so you can watch it and see what you think.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
But anywho, so in this commercial, basically, there's a famous actor who's also a veteran. He goes to see another veteran who was injured before Desert Storm and couldn't go out and serve his time with his group that he was with.
Which is actually exactly what happened to said star who was going to visit this veteran. So they
Exactly.
actually have very similar stories. It's very heartwarming, very, very touching, apparently very conservative.
Yeah, apparently, so they gave her a scholarship, paid for her school. But Breitbart, a very conservative news outlet, very popular, it's one of the favorites of down on Pennsylvania Avenue. But they talk about how it's strong conservative ties and how in a Hollywood world of liberalism that it's refreshing to see this conservative view out there. But when I read that, as a liberal, I was a little offended.
Offended?
I was offended.
Well, part of me can see where they're coming from. So this last presidential campaign, during the primaries here in South Carolina, I spent some time going to speeches, actually volunteering at certain speeches and things like that, working crowd control, doing things like that. So one big part for Republicans was to talk about how Veterans Affairs need to be handled differently, they need to be improved. And a lot of people made that point to say that this needs to be different.
Sure.
Whereas a lot of what I feel like you heard on the other side wasn't as geared towards that. And so I think that could be where it's coming from.
Possibly.
But offended. It's a strong word.
Well, see, I'll tell you why I was offended. Because since when are veteran affairs a partisan issue? Why is it that every time there's a problem in a VA hospital or there are veterans on the street, conservatives point the finger at liberals? Like, we're not also fighting in the same wars. We're on the same team.
I think as far as pointing the finger, I have nothing to say about pointing the finger.
Sure.
I'm not going to be like, well, because
that's fair. That's fair.
However, I think it is a major point that typically when you think of, or typically when I think of conservatives, I think that a big part of their problem is Veterans Affairs and the way that it needs to be handled better. I think that's what gets a lot of veterans out to vote. I think that's the reason a lot of veterans go out and vote conservative, because they hear more about problems that matter more to them on the conservative side.
True.
And so it matters more to them.
I guess I understand that. And I think the reason that conservatives may have not felt like their voices were heard on that particular subject is because we're trying to get universal health care for all, honestly. And health care for myself is the same health care that a veteran will be receiving. So this greater issue would tackle that issue at the same time. Improving their health care means improving my health care, because I believe we should all have access to universal health care. And that's what the difference is. So it's kind of, they've pinned it where it's universal health care or individualizing veteran health care for certain people.
I think that my grandfather was a veteran. He dealt with some of these issues, obviously, as does my uncle.
Right.
And so I think that when you're looking at, and you have people on TV saying that drug tests for use of welfare is unnecessary, we shouldn't be putting people through that.
Sure.
Whereas you're a veteran, you're having trouble even getting into the VA to get your benefits. I think that makes a big problem.
Sure.
I think that's where a lot of it comes in.
And you know, Michael, I think that's a good example of how a lot of issues become conflated. I mean, there's, like how you brought up, you said that drug testing for welfare. Sure, I mean, that's a whole separate issue. And it's not your fault. It's people on both sides of the aisle who have a tendency of putting together things that really aren't alike just to prove a point. And that's when you see on TV the correspondents are arguing back and forth on different issues because they're conflating everything. So I think what we need to do with Veterans Affairs in particular is, instead of making this a partisan issue, that somehow only Republicans love veterans, let's break this up, take it step by step, and think about it on a people level, because at the end of the day, we're all on the same team.
Right. We all want to take care of America's vets. We all want to make sure that they have the best health care that they can. And we all want to make sure that it's given to them for free the way that they fought for it and the way that they
Exactly.
Right. So another thing that I have seen and heard about through family, friends, and whatever is these hoax phone calls from the IRS.
Oh my gosh.
How the IRS is on the way to your house.
Yeah.
There's a warrant for your arrest, and you're going down. The police officer showing you, the only way to get rid of it is to wire me some money right now.
Of course.
And you'll be good to go. Have you heard about this?
I've gotten so many emails. I have so many blocked phone numbers from people. I won a cruise. I've won several cruises. If I cash in on all the cruises I've won, I can sell the ocean blue like Columbus. I cannot stand these scammers. They really get my nerves. And they abuse old people.
So my stepmom, her father is 88. He's old.
Right.
So he'll get these calls, but he knows what's going on. He's fully cognizant. He knows what's happening. So he'll answer the phone, and they'll go, "Grandpa, is that you, Grandpa?"
No.
He doesn't have a grandson. I am the closest thing that he has to a grandson.
God.
So he does not have any 10-year-old grandson behind him. So,
Right.
Grandpa, I got in a car wreck and it was really bad. And I'm okay, but the car's bad. And so he'll say, oh yeah, is that true, Jimmy? And they're like, yeah, it's bad. Could you send me some money, Grandpa?
Oh,
and he'll say, oh yeah, Jimmy, have you talked to your mom recently? And the person will either normally just say, yeah, but the car's real bad or something like that. And so he looked at a window and said, well, that's great because she's dead for 10 years. That must have been a long distance phone call. So like, he just lays in on these calls. And so I think it'd be a lot better if a lot more people did that.
Right.
If we could just all get on the phone and just let them have it.
Exactly. And I don't even know how this happens. I guess you sign up for an email somewhere or you pay your bills over the phone.
They just know you're old.
Somehow your number gets out there and it gets sold. And next thing you know, you're sending money to an Egyptian prince who's about to take the throne, but he needs a small loan of $1 million to get it started.
And then he'll send you $5 million.
Exactly.
He has $5 million, so he clearly needs your would.
Exactly. You're going to be in his royal court. You're going to grow. I just need you to start sending money every day at Thursday at 3 a.m. at this particular bank from this ATM.
Speaking of which, we are about to take the throne, so anyone who feels like they need to send us a check, bring it on.
Right. I'm a very poor Egyptian prince, actually.
As soon as you hit me up with some money, we'll be good to go.
Exactly. I mean, if you would like just to send me $10 right now, I promise I can make that grow. And once I take the throne, me and you will rule the country. It's fine.
So at the same time with these hoax calls and how I love watching people like get back at these guys. Like,
right.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
I've also been on the other end of those calls.
Oh.
So I told you I worked on a campaign. So when I was working on this campaign, I was given a call and I'd say, hey, why don't you come out to this? You know, it'll be great. It's a speech. It's really great. So I had one guy tell me, fuck you, don't call me anymore, get a real job, and stay off the line.
Oh, God.
Meanwhile, I was working 3 jobs at the time and volunteering for this. And volunteering, I wasn't getting paid to talk to him on the phone.
Right.
And so always be nice to these people when they call you if it seems like they could be true. Say no thank you or I'm not interested. Right. If they call you and tell you the police are on the way, tell them to send them on.
Exactly. But yeah, they're not the only ones who are guilty of this. I worked at Kmart for a very long time. And I don't know if I told you this story, but I got a phone call once at the front desk at Kmart. Answer the phone, hello, this is Adrian. How can I help you? And she says, do you believe in reproductive rights? And
at the front desk?
At the front desk at Kmart. Do you believe in reproductive rights? And are you pro-life or pro-choice? So, personal views aside, I looked at my surroundings and said, I'm in Kmart. This is the main desk phone to myself. And I pause and I say, does this have anything to do with Kmart services? And she replies with, and I hang up the phone. I mean, I don't know who these phone banks are, or how they get numbers, or if they just pull a lottery, just putting things together.
We had a sheet.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, from the phone side, you just get a sheet and it's like, call all these people, this is their names. And so if it doesn't have a first name, or if you can't tell what their gender is by the first name, you just, hi, are the Joneses home? Like,
right.
So,
oh my gosh.
It's great. It's a great time.
Well, you know, it's a good thing they don't text because I don't answer phone calls anymore.
Fuck you. Get a real job.